When my husband and I are at parties, he can always naturally start conversations with strangers and get energized by the social interaction, while I prefer to stay in the background, observing and listening. Our temperaments are like north and south on the introvert-extrovert spectrum. The tendency of extraversion influences various aspects of our lives, such as how we interact with others, show affection, resolve conflicts, and choose our careers. Our placement on this continuum can determine our success in our professions, affect our behavior, such as exercise habits, decision-making, and even influence our brain pathways and neurotransmitters. Extraversion, the underlying dimension of sociability, activity, and positive emotions, play a significant role in shaping our personality traits according to Costa and McRae. Introverts also represent strength and power in different ways. If you're interested, I recommend the book Quiet by Susan Cain. Today, we will look into details about how extraversion varies across gender, culture, age group, religion, and workplace. Extraversion and gender. In general, studies find women with higher levels of extraversion than men, even among different cultures. However, there are exceptions when measured implicitly, compare subdimensions, and under different social contexts. When the big five traits are measured implicitly, men shows higher levels of implicit extraversion, indicating higher extraversion in women could be just a social role model that leads to distorted answers in socially desirable way when measured explicitly. When I mention implicit measure, it is in comparison with self-report measures, and it uses indirect measurements such as IAT-based measures. Check out the video to learn more about the implicit measure. Social situations also matter. Women report higher extraversion than men in situations with family and friends, but no difference in work situations. At the facet level, there are some different directions between men and women. For instance, studies show that women score higher in warmth and sociability, but lower on assertiveness and excitement seeking compared to men. Extraversion and culture. Extraversion has been identified as an indigenous trait across different cultures and under different languages, and even using nonverbal measures. As the behavior genetics analysis demonstrates, personality is more affected by genetics rather than shared environmental factors, for example, culture. People who are naturally extroverted are more likely to be talkative no matter if they're in individualistic or collectivistic cultures, and no matter if they speak Chinese, English, or German. On the contrary, aggregated personality could affect certain cultures. For instance, extraversion is linked with nation-level variables like achievement motivation, work ethics, consumer word-of-mouth behavior, and the feature of culture like individualism and collectivism. Extraversion and age. Extraversion showed general stability throughout adulthood with a tendency to decline over age. For instance, researchers find the subdimension excitement seeking and positive emotions decline over age. The change of extraversion during adulthood was studied by genetics, environmental factors such as developing a career, building a family, as well as the goals we set. Research has shown that women who involve their lives more in work develop more work-related extraversion components such as assertiveness and social boldness compared to women who work less. Building a family and settling down, on the contrary, contribute to the decrease of social-related extraversion components such as social vitality. Extraversion also reciprocally impacts life goals, which vary by different age groups. For instance, younger adults emphasize on extrinsic goals such as power, financial success, and challenging experiences, which in turn leads to different life events that might impact extraversion. Extraversion and religion. Eysenck investigated the relationship between personality and social attitude and proposed that introverts are more likely to be religious. The general framework for the relationship is based on the argument that introverts condition more easily, which produces socialization that reflects in tender-minded attitudes, which in turn are concerned with religion. Later on, Eysenck removed some of the impulsivity components from the extraversion concept, which is responsible for the conditionability. Therefore, the argument of the relationship between introvert and religion through conditioning was weakened. Even with the mixed findings and modified theories, many more researchers found empirical evidence to support the relationship. Extraversion at the workplace. Meta-analysis revealed that extraversion is linked with various workplace outcomes such as job satisfaction, work engagement, burnout, leadership emergence, and occupational type. It is an important trait to study in certain industries that involve more human interactions. Research demonstrated employees with more extraversion personality score higher in job satisfaction, especially when it refers to customers. This indicates the importance of the compatibility and fits between individuals and the job's characteristics. See the fit video for more details. While the relationship between extraversion and leadership has been widely tested, recent studies explored more on this link. When employees are instructed to act extroverted, which we call state, no matter if they're an actual extrovert or introvert, which we call trait, they are more likely to emerge as a leader. Research also found that while extroverted individuals are more likely to emerge as leaders, they also keep the social network churn over time. They tend to bring more people and leave more people end up leading different people. A 50-year longitudinal study on women found the predicting power of extroversion on work-related outcomes such as the patterns of rewards, work satisfaction, and occupational type as well. What are your observations of extroversion with these factors? Thanks for watching.